Another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Abu Buch, and thanks a lot for joining us on this amazing Sunday. We have about 5 weeks, I believe, to the presidential elections on the 16th of February. So politics, of course, is hot in the air. There's a lot happening in that space. But I think the biggest news in the week has been the allegations against the Chief Justice of the Federation. We are hearing so many things with regards to the fact that he has some questions to answer with regards to corruption. We don't know how or if that is tied to the elections. Some allegations have been made, of course, by the opposition saying that that is the case, but we'll be watching that closely in the coming days and weeks to see how things shape up. But, of course, there's a lot of politics in the air, and we're going to be starting off with that. I have here with me someone who has been in the running for president, probably one of the longest presidential candidates we've had this season, and he's going to be sharing his thoughts with us with regards to what he believes he can do or offer to Nigerians. Here with me is Kingsley Moghalu, presidential candidate of the YPP. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Ebuka.
Yes, like I said,
I'm glad you said I've been running for a long time.
Yes, that's very interesting. I mean, I think
I was prepared.
I think you declared, I think, on the 28th of February or thereabout.
Yeah, last year.
In 2018. So it's about a year now. Yeah. How much ground do you think you've covered in that time? You think you've done enough in the last year, considering the fact that you came in as not a politician, you hadn't been in the political space prior to that. Yeah. You think 1 year has been enough for you?
You never do enough. That's clear. Nigeria is a big country. It's 200 million people. But I think we are gratified that we have come a very long way over the past 1 year. From practically nowhere politically in February when I announced to now, we have become the undisputed third force in Nigerian politics. My candidacy is the third force after the APC and the PDP. Within the next 1 month, we will continue that progression. We will defeat both parties at the ballot box in 2019.
How is that supposed to happen? I mean,
well, because any more than you can say, how come in the past 1 year, and there have been several politicians who have been around forever, and yet, in the minds of Nigerians, we are now a strong force. That's because of the vision that we have sold to our people. And before then, they were not used to politicians giving them a vision of anything. You know, they're just, used to seeing people dancing on a stage, promising that I'll build you a road here, I'll build you a bridge to nowhere, all these kinds of things, which we know amount to nothing. There has been no depth. There's been no foundational approach to the challenges of Nigeria, which is what I've brought to the table. But
you said in a month, because let's be honest, there's a reason why these two parties are the biggest. Yeah. They have a national spread. I'm sure you've heard all of that. You get told that a lot because you've done a lot of interviews.
I know that.
A month to defeat parties that have been established for about 2 decades.
Yes. Let me tell you how it's going to happen. Yeah. One is that the ground is fertile because people are fed up, essentially, with the old recycled politicians. So many Nigerians are looking for something new, different, bold, which they think that my candidacy represents. So that's one. Number two, there is an implosion going on in both the APC and the PDP. Many people have said, if you look at this electoral cycle, it's not like many electoral cycles in the past where the air would have been filled by the noise of elections and campaigns. It's a bit quiet compared to the past. But that's because the two parties, the APC and the PDP, are completely and utterly dysfunctional. The campaigns of both President Muhammadu Buhari and Atiku Abubakar are imploding. They are war zones inside them. We know. So there isn't a lot of self-confidence in the APC that they're going to win. They're busy pulverizing every institution of state to make sure they win. They are planning to rig the election. Let's be honest about it. The PDP, on the other hand, has a lot of infighting.
How do you know they're planning to rig the elections?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of things you know, but you can't prove. But we know from the actions they are taking.
So what do you do as a party and as a candidate to counter that?
Yeah, the refusal to sign the amended Electoral Act. The assault on the judiciary that we're seeing in the last 2 days. The brazen assault, So that tells you that there's desperation. And that tells you that the privatization of the security services, as we have seen in Osho and Ondo State, I think, Now, what do? First, we do what we should. We make sure that we have polling agents in all the polling booths. That's number one. Number two, the citizens themselves need to understand that this is their battle. This is our fight collectively, because it is our future that is being stolen if we allow incompetent and recycled politicians to keep rigging elections and coming back against our will. So we're not making progress. We're going backwards. So it's a collective fight. There's the press, the role of the press. There's the role of the citizens themselves. There's the role of the electoral observers. So it's a multi-layered approach to making sure that we protect our votes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many questions that come up of that, but I want to just segue a little into you are new.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of into the political space, and that could work both ways. I mean, there are people who like a fresh candidate, someone who's new, who brings new ideas, but at the same time, it might also come with a lot of naivety. The issue with PACT continues to come up, and how that sort of was a big blow, sort of in your sort of pretty good run so far with campaigning.
It wasn't.
And
let me
you
tell
seemed very confident going into that. You were going to win PACT, then you didn't win, then you decided to back out.
Yes.
And now you're making promises again and bragging about winning again. How are we now supposed to reconcile? Because this is even a bigger fight.
Yes, that's very true. Let me tell you a little thing about PACT. PACT was a political assassination attempt. It was a conspiracy to eliminate my candidacy. And that conspiracy was masterminded by powerful forces outside of PACT. I want you to understand, I've deliberately not opened up on PACT because many people need to know the truth. Many people are drawing the wrong conclusions. The process was not transparent. I had every right to reject it.
At what point did you realize this?
Towards the end. And it doesn't matter when you realize it. It doesn't matter whether you realize it at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end. People who run a normal election, if the election is rigged, they have a right to reject the results and go to court. President Buhari did it in 2007. So people talk as if, what is new? If a process is not transparent, as a matter of principle, you don't have to accept it. Let me explain to you just a couple of examples about the lack of transparency. I came there the morning of the vote, and I was shocked to see my sister, Obia Ezekwesili, as a referee. And there were one or two other people. Like, how? You are supposed to be part of a process. You're a contestant. And somebody has arranged to bring somebody as an umpire, and you are not informed?
Who was supposed to be the umpire initially? There was
none. It was a discussion we were having among ourselves. So some people who were running the PACT process as an inside game were the ones making these commitments and bringing in these last-minute things without sharing it openly to all the contestants. Certainly, I didn't know, right? That's number one. That, first of all, delivered the first blow to confidence in terms of the transparency of the process. Do you see what I'm saying? If you were in my position, you would become very skeptical. Number two.
Sorry to cut you in there. I mean, but Dr. Obi on her own, I mean, has a reputation of integrity. Why would she worry?
It's not about reputations. It's about the process itself.
So who brought her in?
And she herself, shortly after, the referee became a player, trying to score more goals than everybody
Which of the candidates brought her in?
I don't know. I don't know. That's what I'm telling you about the opaqueness, the lack of transparency. Now, secondly, the first ballot was a secret ballot. There was a tie between myself and Mr. Durotoye and one other gentleman. And then we were asked to leave the room. Why? If the second ballot was also going to be a secret ballot, why were we asked to leave the room? Do I know what happened when I left the room? Were there winks? Were there nods? Was there body language? There's no way I can ever know. So it became clear to me that this was a charade. And based on that, and finally, based on Article 13 of the agreement itself, that any member of the group can leave because you cannot short-circuit the constitutional rights of any member to the freedom of his or her freedom of association. So since when did it become a crime to stand upon something that is part of an agreement and act on it? on top of other principled reasons you have. So many people who criticize me about PACT either don't know the facts, or they're just simplistic, or perhaps they are jaundiced or self-interested. Or
who are these outside forces?
There are many powerful forces in Nigeria that were worried with the ascendance of my candidacy.
You know them?
You can at least suspect. Let me tell you something. They did not want a truly independent and strong and credible third force or alternative challenge to the status quo, which my candidacy represents. I want you to know that since PACT, my candidacy has actually grown in strength. That's the point. After PACT, many people rejected the arrangement. It lost credibility because it was not the outcome they were expecting. Why was it that after I walked away from PACT, PACT collapsed? Must I be a member of PACT? They could continue without me. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I could then be described as, quote unquote, a sour loser. But they couldn't, because they couldn't.